Welcome to Alpha Wolf's Den. It's here that we seek enlightenment. Alpha Wolf Trading recognizes that the most successful companies in the world at one point had no earnings. There's a lot more to a company than just its earnings report. That's why here at Alpha Wolf's Den, we interview executive teams. We want to get to know management. We want to understand the vision, the mission, the strategic drivers, the plan. We want to separate fact from fluff. This is not a paid for promotion interview. This is solely wanting to know the company's vision, mission, their critical success factors, their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and the threats. We want to know the long-term objective and the tactical initiatives that leadership plans to implement to achieve success. We want to know about the company's debt, the cap structure, what it's going to take for them to become self-sustaining and stop burning through cash. We want to know management's previous failures, challenges, hurdles, how they overcame them, or what they learned that they can apply in their current role. We're trying to identify the risk and the reward. And oftentimes, it's strong leadership that makes the difference between success and failure. Here at Alpha Wolf Trading, we are looking for the hidden gems. And I hope you enjoy this interview because this is one of those companies that I think could be a hidden gem. Please understand that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with another CEO interview and a very exciting company that actually I've followed for quite a while. This is the first time that I get to have a interview with them now. I met these guys personally a couple of weeks ago at the SNN conference here in Las Vegas. Had a fantastic conversation, and I want to thank both of you, Alex and Alan, for coming in and doing the interview with us here. Very exciting company. I reached out to Vision Marine about I want to say a couple of years ago when you really were just kind of starting to get rolling. And one of the things that had concerned me, I can't remember who I spoke with. It wasn't you, Alex, but one of the things that had concerned me was that there was no patent on the technology, and Alan really clarified that for me at this conference. So I want to definitely talk about that. But Alex, if you can, give me just Alex, you're the founder and CEO, right?
Right. So thanks for having me today, Tim. I'm the founder of Vision Marine Technology. Myself and Patrick Bobby, who's actually in charge of the racing department and testing of our technology. So both of us are both enthusiasts. I'm an electrician by trade, and I was also racing speedboats for many years with Patrick. And along the way, we started building and working on smaller electric boats that were doing about 5 to 6 miles per hour for hotels and boat clubs. And along the way, we were able to test others people outboard and electric motors, but they were not fast enough or powerful enough to push decent boats on the water, and we start working on a project on the motion motor in 2015. So over the past 7 years, we've developed, worked, and created a pretty solid team with the technology that we have today.
Okay, and then Alan, how did you get tied up with Alex? What drew you to this story?
So I'm an investment banker by trade, and I was shown this deal in this company. I guess now it's about more than 2 years ago. The company went public, just to give you a bit of a timeline, in November of 2020, at the height of the fervor with electric vehicles and electrification of any kind. And I think I met the company probably very early in 2020. It might have even been late 2019. I was shown a financing that they were doing, and was fortunate enough to actually speak with Alex, and I loved his enthusiasm and his passion for what he was doing, because I feel the same way as we've discussed him. But Alex is at a different level than I was, certainly, and I basically thought that this was a better opportunity to be public, given the markets at that point were pretty strong. Essentially, we raised 28.6 million US dollars, 34 million Canadian, approximately. And I was responsible for about 2/3 of that raise. So the company did go public in November 2020. I love the technology, and there's nothing else like it out there in the world, quite literally. As I always like to say jokingly, and you've heard me say this numerous times, Tim, this ain't grandpa's electric boat. You know, this will blow away almost any internal combustion engine of relatively the same horsepower, you know, especially right off the line. These boats can rocket, and they can pull, you know, they can hold numerous people and actually help participate in water sports and things of that nature. So these 5 or 6 mile an hour motors that are out there, and everybody's claiming they've got a performance motor, nobody does. The others are all low voltage, low performance. Ours are high voltage, high performance. And we think we have unique technology. And by the way, to address your question about the technology and the patents or lack thereof, let me just say that this was a proactive decision by the board, spearheaded by Alex and I. We are paranoid about getting essentially reverse engineered. And once you put those patents out there, you know, it's for all to see, and you're at the mercy of, let's put it this way, there are some countries out there that like to reverse engineer, and we don't want people buying our boat and trying to reverse engineer. I mean, there's nothing stopping an OEM from buying our, you know, one of our powertrains, or getting their hands on one and trying to figure out how it works. So Alex will explain what we've done to completely destroy that notion. That is not possible. And again, it's the analogy that I would use is, why doesn't Coca-Cola or Kentucky Fried Chicken, I know they're food companies, it's not, you know, obviously an electric motor, but why don't they patent their formulas? Because they're afraid of getting reverse engineered. And you show people a roadmap. So we feel much more comfortable with proprietary IP. It's not to say we might patent in the future or patent some of our things that make up the powertrain system, some of the different components. We may do that. Right now, we have no intention of doing that. We've consulted, or I've consulted actually, with a couple of patent attorneys, liked our strategy, and that's the reason that we have not patented our.
No, look, it makes sense, and I love the example you gave me of what was it, Mission Impossible? This thing will self-destruct and
it does. Alex will explain to you how the code constantly changes. Alex, you should actually explain that. You're better at that than I am.
Yeah, there's no, actually, we're not smarter than anyone. We're actually using an electric motors and high power battery pack, high voltage, 700 volt. But the 4 master brains that communicate through the dashboard, the throttle, the charging system, are running through an algorithm of code. And if one of those keys are broken, and they change every time that you turn the motor on. So if you're actually just unhooking one of the wires, you need a reboot of the system. You also have that in the car industry. If you're trying to unplug a Tesla battery, you can't put the system back on without having them involved in the maintenance and the commissioning of the system. So today it's more about software management and all mapping than having a physical pattern on a part.
No.
So it's much safer.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I can tell you, I actually told Alan that one of the biggest hits I've ever taken as an investor was on a patent play. And I mean, it was a solid patent that went all the way. I mean, they got a jury of 12 that found the offender guilty, willful infringement, triple the penalty, went to a higher court. They won there. Their patents were challenged at the USPTO. I can't tell you how many times. Never overturned any of the patents. Went to the Supreme Court, and they ruled in favor of the guy that was violating the patents. 3 years later, and I don't know how much money spent, but that just blew my mind, right? What good are patents if that is what it came down to, was the ruling of two guys that probably have a nice island somewhere, right? But I think that that was a great clarification for me. But what I want to talk about was how impressive. Now I've got this motor up right next to me. You guys can see it, right? This thing, I saw this in person in Vegas. This was an impressive looking motor, right? This is, like you said, this isn't your granddad's electric motor. This is a badass looking motor, right? And capable of putting out 180 horsepower. That's significant, right?
Very.
Wait till you try it. You only saw the motor on a stand. Once you're on a boat and you try it, it's incredible. The way we sell it also, and we build it, we're offering you 180 horsepower continuously. When you're buying it at an ICE engine outboard or a gas motorboat, you're getting your 175 or 180 horsepower at a special RPM for a few seconds, and the RPMs are changing and the horsepower is changing. So it never stops. At 1 RPM or 5,500 RPM, you're always getting your 180 horsepower. That's why people are impressed about the torque and the fact that it's much quieter, and the maintenance is reduced by 90%. So there's less moving parts, it's lighter, and it can be recharged at any dock worldwide using a regular shore power. So even if it's on a trailer, you go back home, you put your boat on the trailer, you just have to hook your system through your power wall or your regular wall outlet, and you'll get your boat charged overnight for about $5.
So how long does the charge last? I mean, if they're out on the lake, let's say it's pretty choppy weather, like Lake Mead, how long does it last?
I love the fact that you brought Lake Mead. I got paid 2 years ago by Shell Corporation to do a little video with the Great Travel Hack. That was a TV show, and they were moving four different teams with all electric cars, boats, and planes over the U.S. And we were on the boat, one of our boats, the Bruce 22, with an electric motor. And we did about 4 hours of filming, and it was choppy that day, actually. And I got paid to do that by Shell Corporation. I'm happy to say that. I get the proof of the payment. And the team that was filming us was the team of the crew from Top Gear, with the camera crew. There were 6 people on the pontoon with myself. Patrick was actually driving the Bruce Electric with the actors, and the gas boat went out of gas that day, and we did about 33 miles at various speed. Most of the distance was run at planing speed, so over 20 miles, 25 miles per hour, with a lot of equipment, and it was choppy. So it always depends, the fact that the weather, the choppy, the weight that we're putting in the boat. but you're doing about the same type of range that we have with a 55-gallon fuel tank.
So you wound up bringing those, they ran out of gas and you wound up bringing them back?
Yeah, I got that thing. I was filming them on. We had a good time. It was a great show that day, and it's getting there, and it's going to be actually better and better, right? Because the battery densities are increasing. Same size battery pack is increasing about 20% per year. So by 2025, we'll probably have more range than or more battery density that will give you more range as a regular fuel tank. I like the cars. I just got my new electric cars and I do about 600 kilometers on a single charge.
That's incredible. See, what I love to do is I love to find companies that I think are disruptors, right? And in my view, this company is without question a disruptor, right? Now you've been challenged with 2 years of COVID, which nobody was doing shit. Nobody's going out on the water for 2 years, right? I mean, there's no boat shows, there's no nothing going on, right? For 2 years. And you've managed to actually grow your business, right? You haven't destroyed your capital structure. How many shares do you guys have fully outstanding, fully diluted?
10.2 million.
How many?
10.2 million.
Okay, just so everybody knows, anything under 100 million shares, in my opinion, is a low float stock, right? 8 million is uber tiny float.
I'll give you a little bit more insight. We have 8.2 million primary shares outstanding. Fully diluted is 10.2. So we have not fully diluted is 10.2 million. So we have not destroyed, as you mentioned very astutely, we have not destroyed our capital structure. We have zero debt. We are not like almost every other electric vehicle company, be it a bus, electric car, electric anything, trucks. We are not hemorrhaging cash.
How much debt do you have?
Pardon me?
How much debt do you have currently?
Zero.
Oh, zero. Can you say
Zero.
that one more time?
Zero.
Thank you. Because that is the killer of companies, right? Debt.
Right.
And a broken cap structure. I mean, if you have 100 billion, a billion shares outstanding, you're going to have a hell of a hard time making your shareholders money ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what you're doing, right? You're going to have to do a lot of revenue. But the way I view it is, if the company could get stronger in what I would consider to be unprecedented, because I don't think there's very many pandemics that have happened in my lifetime, where you have supply chain issues and you have, basically everything shut down, and you still manage to stay healthy, grow the business, come out with an incredible product. What happens when things start to normalize, right? If you can execute through that, I'm thinking you're probably going to be able to execute moving forward when things get better.
Well, you hit upon a very important and very astute observation, Tim. A lot of companies that are making the rounds and doing presentations, they always say, well, we were severely impacted by COVID. And you mentioned that there were no boat shows. Well, that's how everything gets transacted in the boating industry. No boat shows, no sea trials, no orders. So also the Canadian border, and you might have detected a Quebecois accent from Alex. So the company is headquartered in Montreal, and we couldn't even get any senior executives out, and nobody was flying anyway. So we were destroyed, essentially. I think we lost 1.5 years to COVID. But in that interim period, we secured our supply chain with an agreement with Octillion Power Systems, and we signed a manufacturing supply agreement with McLaren Engineering, and yes, it's that McLaren.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. Who did you sign a deal with?
McLaren.
McLaren.
And one of the, obviously, as you know, one of the preeminent engineering firms in the world. They will manufacture. They're testing our product right now and tweaking it, and they will manufacture for us, because we did not, again, which leads us originally to your original observation, which we don't have a destroyed capital structure or 1 billion shares outstanding. If you're a manufacturer, we have to build a plant or plants in order to satisfy what we think is going to be considerable demand. Well, how do you do that? You can do some with debt, but guess what? The remainder is going to have to do with equity. And we don't want to destroy our balance sheet by leveraging it up prior to actual cash flow, which I think is the demise of a lot of companies. It's just the way Alex and I think alike in not wanting to do that. And that always bites you in the butt eventually. And this way, we won't be issuing a whole heck of a lot of equity to build factories and giga plants and things like that, because we don't need to. McLaren does it all. And who can do a better job than McLaren? I mean, we understand that. So the fact that we've been able to do that and able to secure our supply chain, and again, over 90% of our components are sourced from North America. So we don't have all of these crazy supply chain issues. At least right now we don't. Hopefully we don't. And the fact that McLaren is owned by Linamar Corp, which is a huge public company in Canada, that does business in the maritime industry with companies like Honda, and also in the car industry, which is their legacy business, with essentially all the big OEMs. We think they will be quite helpful if we do have a supply chain issue. We think they'll be helpful in mitigating that.
It was also very well accepted by the big boat manufacturers and OEMs when they ask us to prove them the testing, the safety of our technology, and having McLaren doing the testing and having the OEMs looking into what McLaren is doing as a testing, because McLaren was doing also testing for ICE engine outboards. So they have a lot of knowledge and they're very well respected.
Yeah, I mean, having McLaren as a partner, I cannot see as being a negative, right? There's nothing negative there. So, you know, I just want to kind of reflect back on the history, because I remember when you first started, I mean, I thought it was a cool concept. You had those cute little boats that, I mean, they were cute. I don't know how else to say it. The little wooden, you know, things with but I mean, you've come a long ways from that. And I mean, those things were cool. You were primarily building them and selling them. That's where you started, right? I mean, that's kind of what got you going. You were building those individual boats and sending them for people. You know, you got a waiting list. I know women were getting all into them. And I mean, it was a big thing, right? But this is way, way past where you were then.
Yeah, our boats currently are built really, a lot of it is for, and you'll see hopefully some interesting PR in the future. We essentially sell those with smaller motors to boat clubs and to rental operations. And we have a rental operation that essentially is based in Newport, California.
Oh, there they are.
Offsets most of our operating expenses. So it's a highly, highly profitable business. And again, with electric transition expanding rapidly, and I think that will actually get a complete boost and a very significant boost in the eventuality of tax credits being initiated for electric boats. You can get them for cars, buses, trucks, not for boats yet, but that's coming. We are very strong proponents of that. But that's a burgeoning industry, boat clubs and rental operations, and we're part of that as well. But again, I think everybody on the board and our management is aware the future of this company is what you're looking at right there, and it's the eMotion powertrain system.
So, looking at that, I mean, and they are cute boats, man. But I mean, here's the thing: that rental, you haven't had those clubs being able to do anything for the last 2 years, right? So how much anticipated pent up demand is there in this market right now?
I'll let Alex answer that.
I might not understand correctly the questions. I don't want to say crazy stuff. Can you just be more specific on the answer you want me to give you?
I mean, so in the last couple of years, you guys haven't had any boat shows. You haven't been really selling any boats. They're not. You're not doing any, boat clubs. That is all, I think, pent up demand, right? I mean, I
Oh
think.
no, we
Sure.
did build about maybe 60, 70 boats last year, sold a few of them to Freedom Boat Club, Property of Brunswick. We signed a lease for a second rental operation in Tampa. Now we were looking to get another one on the West Coast, and we grow the rental operation as well. So we were able to do a few millions with that, and it should be around 6 or 7 million this year in sales just to manage the little rentals operation. It was helpful for us to educate the market, and with that real estate now we are as Marina, we are able to have space to see trial our technology and showcase our technology with OEMs. Now I'm traveling all over the US to meet OEMs with their boats with our technology, and I can use those space as well and educate them. And along the way, those OEMs are actually selling their boats to Boat Club as well as Freedom Boat Club and Carefree. And they look into that as a growing business. So it was funny back then with those color boats, smaller boats. Now everything gets placed together, and we're at that point now. And it's something it was funny, now it's powerful. And we did decently good in the past years, about the past 2 years during COVID with the rentals and the smaller boats. But now that part of the business is actually growing by himself. And we've been focusing for the past 24 months on just rigging third-party boats with our technology. And now that's what I do almost all day long, testing their boats with our technology and inviting them in our factory, showing them how we do that. We did that, and the results from that hard work will show up very soon.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So do you guys have the speed record for on water electric boats? Do you have that record?
Correct. It was last summer at the Ozark, 49 miles per hour with the Bruce 22, a smaller boat, and we'll be back in a few months in August with a much bigger boat, and we'll try.
What size boat for
the
August?
The next one, the hull is a 32-foot hull. Overhaul is going to be like close to 36 feet. It's a pretty huge boat. It's a 10 feet beam boat and 32 foot long. So that boat will be pushed. I want to push it over 100 miles per hour, all electric. And we need about 250 feet to push that boat at that speed. So it's to show to the industry that these are not little smaller 5 miles per hour.
100 miles an hour on water is freaking fast. I mean, that's fast, right? That's like scary fast.
It's fast, but I'm doing it just to show to the industry. Now the industry knows that the electric motors are coming. Back then they were looking at me, but last summer at 49 miles per hour, we got the respect and we got the eyes that we needed on us. So now they know that we are actually.
And you did that with one of these? Was it this motor?
No, no, that was more like the Bruce, the boat that we built, the Bruce 22, built after Ian Bruce, was the designer of the laser cell boat. But the boat that you have there is a pontoon, and those little pontoon boats, that's a very important market as well. So all the big guys on the industry who are listed on the public market are building pontoons. It's about 80,000 pontoons a year. And I could say by 2025, I will likely to have at least 1% of that market all electric. And we have 5 pontoon in our shop getting rigged with the Emotion. So the first one was the Starcraft that you have on the picture. It was showcased at the IBEX boat show in Tampa in 2021. So during the season 2022, you're going to start seeing other type of pontoons not being built by Starcraft. They are built by different companies. I won't give you the name. You could, if you follow us, you'll see their boats, and they're going to start taking orders in the very near future with our system.
You should understand also, Tim, pontoons are generally the big flat decks. They're family boats, and that's the market we're looking for. Pontoons are more than 20% of the market of total boats sold in North America. And we can't be all things to all people. So we want to go for the largest market segment. And we're looking for, to cater to that rapidly growing millennial market segment. that comprises generally around a third of the market, pontoons included in that as well. And again, 1% of those boats that are equipped with our outboards, if you do the numbers, and our outboards are sold for $80,000 US. And the growth in these outboards is the compound annual growth rate is accelerating. It was 4 or 5% prior to the pandemic. It's now at 8 or 9%. And you can see that by the fact that every large OEM has a 1.5 or 2 year waiting list. They're sold out for the next couple of years.
Oh.
So that segment is rapidly growing. And by 2025, it will essentially triple. If we get 1% of that tripled market, I won't even go through the numbers, but they're quite exciting.
The other good thing with the pontoon, the demand was so huge, we had to create a special battery pack certified for the marine industry. It doesn't exist with the higher voltage. So that's why we got into business with Octillion and also with a French group. So a special pack was made to be installed in any pontoons. So there's 5 big pontoon manufacturers in the US. So any of those guys could open the tune or the pontoon and slide in battery packs from 1 to 3 packs, depending how much range they want. And the reaction from those OEMs were priceless. That's why we got more pontoons in our factory getting rigged now than their regular fiberglass BL boats. And it's a family boat, as Mr. Gaines just said. So we created a special battery pack with a team of battery manufacturers. So Octillion is building 4,500 batteries. 1,500 batteries a day, since many years. So we're very secure. We're very safe on battery production with them.
By the way, the weight for a battery, we discussed the weight for just general supply chain issues. The weight to get batteries now can be well in excess of a year. So we're very pleased to have
you told me something kind of interesting, and I do want to peg on this for a minute, because you told me that not only does it take a little bit over a year, but they want 50% up front.
Yeah.
Yes, that's because of the demand far exceeding supply. Most battery manufacturers, cell pack manufacturers, are looking for significant upfront deposits, not just from companies like Vision Marine, but even companies like Brunswick and Chris Craft, which is Winnebago. Even the big OEMs are experiencing this, and we're no different. That's our largest use of our funds right now, securing our supply chain, because again, you've got to pre-order because of the waiting time. No battery, no boat. So
right.
But luckily we're equipped to do that because we have plenty of cash and no debt, and we're not hemorrhaging cash to support significant operating losses. So we're, I think, very uniquely positioned. Is it something we're thrilled about doing? Paying big numbers up front for something that's not going to cash flow for a year? No, we're not happy about it, but that's what we need to do.
Right.
To protect ourselves on that way, major OEMs that we're working with will start advertising the next boat show in fall, deposit campaign on their future electric products. So you'll be able to put a deposit on your next boat fully electric, and you're going to get it a year later, like the car does. They're following the car industry. As you know, I was in Indiana about 10 days ago, and I was running into 5 big OEMs who are building pontoons, and I've seen at least 6,000 to 7,000 pontoons ready to be shipped to dealerships, but no motors. So they had to wait 40, 50 weeks to get motors. The pontoons are ready, but there's no motors. So the market knows now that you want a boat, you have to put a deposit and wait. So we're going to utilize that.
Which, look, I mean, does it suck for the guy that's waiting for the boat? Yeah, but it's a great market dynamic for the business, right? It makes it very clear sight of what you got coming for the next 3 quarters, 4 quarters, right? I mean, that's a very positive thing. So I will say that the one thing that is disturbing to me, and I do want to highlight this because of the fact that you would think we would have, Alan, what was your background again? What were you involved with for a long time?
Well, I'm an investment banker by trade.
And what industry specifically, though?
Fossil fuels.
Yeah, fossil fuels. Okay, that's a you would have thought maybe the US would have figured out by now that maybe we don't want to be reliant upon foreign entities that don't like us very much for our energy. Right? I mean, and I'm all for going renewable. I get it. I totally get it. Better for the planet, better for everything. I get that. What I don't get is who makes or who mines or who has the supply of 85% of the graphite that is used in batteries in the world.
That's the Chinese.
Oh, I'm sorry?
China.
The Chinese. I don't think they like us very much.
Not really. Again, this is something that has to happen. You know, electric transition has to happen. Hydrogen will happen for longer haul trucking. I think hydrogen is actually the future, or certainly a hydrogen fuel cell range extender alongside of electric transition, electric battery, electric truck. But yeah, with this country has no energy policy, and I think very weak leadership right now with respect to energy.
I mean, that hurts. That potentially hurts you guys, right? Because how much graphite is used in a battery? About 50% or so.
I mean, it's strangely enough, lithium, everybody is talking about lithium, but really only 2 or 3% of batteries are utilizing lithium. That's 2 or 3% of the structure of the battery. But all of these, what I would call critical metals or critical minerals, you know, graphite, lithium, copper, nickel, cobalt, those 5 are pretty much the top 5. None of them are really sourced within the United States to any degree. So we're completely dependent for lithium-ion batteries if that's the future. And I think that'll evolve too. But, you know, the future of battery electric vehicles is highly dependent upon the critical metals and critical minerals that are designed to comprise of a battery. And that is a problem. So North America better wake up.
And that's a problem that we should probably start addressing now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about going, I mean, I see some of these cities putting out things that, you know, they're going to go all no combustion engine vehicles by 2035. Good luck.
Some of those mandates are 2028 for cars or 2030. And then you've got the issue of the grid being able to handle everybody plugging in their cars. So I think some of these earlier mandates that are 2028 or 2030 ain't going to happen.
Not going to happen.
I can tell you one thing. I'm calling you now, and the Zoom is being done. I'm in the province of Quebec, and we are very well surrounded by electric companies that does build batteries, and we have graphite mine as well. And we have a lot of help and love from the Canadian government and provincial government from the province of Quebec. And they're pushing and helping us in creating self-efficient solutions. So we're working with them since 2017. They were helpful with grant. And now our neighbors are Lion buses and Taiga with electric jet skis and snowmobiles. And we have solution coming along the way by buying American product or North American product with the next years of battery supplies. So I'm secure on that side. We've been testing a few things, and we're not going to sell them now, but we also have an option on that side.
No,
Canada has a much better infrastructure for producing critical metals than the United States does.
Yeah, it's funny because actually I just interviewed a company that hydroelectric mine for graphite. I mean, that's what they're working on, right? And they're out of Canada. I mean, but you know, if the US doesn't wake up, we're going to be in trouble because, you know, everybody wants to go to 100% renewable, but nobody wants a wind farm in their backyard. They don't want to see the wind farm in their backyard, right?
And make no mistake, electric transition and hydrogen need to be incremental to fossil fuels. Oil and natural gas are not going away anytime in our lifetimes or probably our kids' lifetimes. So this needs to be incremental. It's not going to replace fossil fuels. And I think people have to understand that. So that essentially this country, I'm talking about the United States, really needs to support the oil industry and allow them to drill. And, I've written extensively on that on LinkedIn. And I just am a staunch believer in supporting the U.S. petroleum industry because it ain't going away anytime soon. And there's going to be a super cycle in oil prices if we don't get our act together. And you're going to be paying $10 a gallon at the pump. That's not
Right.
a good picture.
There has to be a better. The problem with us is we don't ever seem to have a good plan, right? We want to do these things, but we don't want the wind farm in our backyard. We don't want the solar farm in our backyard. We don't want to drill because that's bad for the planet. We don't want to mine because that's bad for the planet. But these are all things we need to do because we need all of these things to get from point A to point B.
Correct.
Right. In order for us to get to 100% renewable, we're going to need oil and gas as a bridge to get there. Right. We're going to need to start mining for the minerals that are used in batteries here in the United States. And we need to start that now because you don't just put up a mine overnight. Right. This takes a while. So
Right.
all the permitting and all the other stuff. I mean, if we don't get our act together,
One of the other key components that you have alluded to but not mentioned is, as opposed to mining, primary extraction, there's secondary extraction, and that's recycling of lithium-ion batteries. That's
Right.
going to be a burgeoning industry, and that also needs to. There are a lot of different competing companies,
and that's the black mass, or what is that what they call it? The black mass, right?
Yeah. Initially, it's black mass, but there needs to be, and there's a lot of different technologies out there competing for investor dollars right now. There are only a few publicly traded battery recycling companies. Some of them good, some of them not so good, but it's clearly secondary recovery, end of life battery recycling for a closed loop system has to happen and needs to happen quickly.
All right. So look, I don't want to go off too far on a tangent here. I know you guys have obligations. I've got obligations, but what I want to do just real quick, let's just kind of sum it up. I mean, there's obviously demand. You guys are the clear leaders. There is nobody else. Is there anybody else out there that's even remotely close to what you have?
No, not with our technology. Not with our high performance technology. There's low powered options out there, low power, low voltage.
No, I'm talking about what you have with this outboard motor with McLaren.
No,
is there anybody that's out there that's even remotely close?
Not even remotely close.
So you're getting ready to do a thing in August. You're going to do a 32-foot. It sounds like a cigarette boat.
It's a racing boat.
Right? And you want to push it to 100 miles an hour.
Well, we will.
On the water. So you're talking about what? Strapping two of these things, three of these things to this boat? Two of them. And 100 miles an hour. That is going to be amazing. Right. So if that doesn't give you validation, I don't know what does. So you've got to be talking.
We've already got validation through McLaren. I mean, we're obviously, I don't think McLaren would enter into a public manufacturing supply agreement with a company whose product they haven't even tested or validated.
So what are the margins for you guys? I mean, can we get into that at all or no?
Well, it's a bit premature, and I'm hesitant to do that again because that's more of a forward-looking statement, which
right. I got you.
Don't want to get into either. Let's just say that our electric outboard and powertrain margins are quite high. They are quite high. Even after McLaren, obviously they don't work for free. Even after we pay McLaren to test and assemble, these margins are very high.
Okay. And then as far as boat manufacturers, OEMs, partnerships, how many are there? I mean, I don't know.
7,500 in North America, but only having 5 of them, the one that we're doing, they are building over 100,000 boats a year. So just taking care of them, it's enough. Those ones in North America.
You said 7,500 and you got 5 and they're doing how many boats?
100,000 boats a year.
That's a lot of motors, man.
And again, the revenue that we hope to generate, obviously, is not going to be spread over 1 billion shares. So these numbers add up pretty quickly once we hopefully start getting some orders, which we are very excited. for this coming year.
All right, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pull some stuff off of this thing because I want to talk about your chart just real quickly. Which, look, the stock is like every other stock in the entire market right now. It has nothing to do with the fundamentals. It has to do with it has to do with the overall market. We've been in a we've been in a bull market for how long? For 13 years, maybe. And a lot of these traders, these new traders, they've never even seen a bear market. They don't know what a bear market looks like. We are in a bear market. I don't give a shit what they say on CNBC. We are in a bear market, and we have been for a while.
Especially small cap stocks, Tim.
Right.
That's the opportunity, though. This creates opportunity.
This is the time. This is my time, right? This is the kind of stuff I get really, really excited about, because what should you be doing right now? You should be looking for those companies that are being mispriced because of the market and nothing fundamentally wrong with the company. You're talking about a company here that has 8 million shares, 10 million shares, fully outstanding, diluted. That is nothing. That is a tiny, tiny amount of shares, right? Any kind of significant news event is, I mean, this is the kind of stock that can go up and could go up 50, 60, 70, 80, 300% in 2 days, right? I mean, literally it could happen, right? I mean, because you get the guys that are trying to short it and then they get spanked. So, I mean, this is just a really interesting time. This is a very exciting company. As I look at the chart now, look, this is the long-term trend. It's going from the upper left to the lower right. That's the trend. Technical guys that don't know what you do, don't care. That's all they look at is the chart, right? So they're just seeing this as being a weak chart right now. And that is what is established. But eventually what's going to happen, because let's go back 2 years of COVID, no boat shows, but still growing your damn business, right? No debt, small float, great cap structure, very smart people leading the charge, obviously. Conversations happening with all kinds of OEMs. I imagine you've got more than 5 that you've talked to.
That's a fair statement.
That's probably a fair statement. Out of 7,500, you probably
the 5 is 5 that we have their boats and we're working on their boats. We're not talking with them. We're working.
But I'm pretty sure you have more than 5
There are numerous
conversations.
ongoing conversations
Yeah,
apart
okay.
from the 5 boats that we have in Montreal.
All right, so here's what we got going on. We've got the stock just hit a new 52-week low. Can I tell you where this thing is going to end? No. Where's it going to go? What is your downside risk? Your downside risk would be $3.89. It goes to 0. Do I think this is going to 0? I don't. Am I telling anybody to buy the stock today? No, that's not what I do. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't tell people what to buy or what to sell. But I will say this. This is an incredibly intriguing company that has a product that nobody is even remotely close to being able to provide the kind of performance that you're providing. And I do believe that this too shall pass. We will get through this, uncertainty in the markets. And you want to be watching companies that have a great product, have great leadership, have a good, clean balance sheet, and you want to get in those early. That's my belief. Could this go down to $3? Could it go down to $2.50? Sure. Do I think this would be a fantastic spot to take a starter position? Absolutely. Right? Keep it on your radar. That's what I'm telling anybody to do. Put it on your radar. Watch what this company does. So far, I would say you've executed on everything that you said you were going to do, right? You uplisted to the NASDAQ. You're on the NASDAQ. You don't have to deal with the penny stock OTC hell anymore. You are now officially on a good exchange. You got a great product. You're executing, and you've got built up demand that's going to come, right? So those are all the things that I look at. If you guys, I know you can't talk about the stock or anything like that. And that's fine. I think people get a good sense of you got two really smart guys here, and you got a pretty exciting business, and you've got a lot of demand that's coming. This is one that you want to have on your radar. Just that simple for me, right? What I'd like to do is when you're doing that in August, what are we in right now? We're at June. I'd like to do a follow-up update because we had to kind of condense this meeting down a little bit because I got another one, but I would love to do a follow-up when you guys think there's something maybe significant to talk about, right? And it'll probably be before the August thing, I think. Right? All right. Unless you guys feel as though I didn't cover something, maybe there's something you want to highlight specifically, this is your opportunity.
No, look, we're very excited about the rest of this year, making progress toward revenue and real revenue from our powertrain and outboard system in 2023. That was what we've been telling people really from the get-go. So I think we've performed as well as we could during this unprecedented pandemic period and post-pandemic, where we're starting to gain some real traction now. And the only observation I'll make is if you look at the charts, from anything that even smells like it's electric, cars, buses, trucks, we have the same exact chart that they do. But
You have this,
we're not hemorrhaging money. That's
even electric, forget that. Every stock just about in the small and micro cap space has been pounded for the last 12, 13 months. My question would be, now, not all of those companies are good companies. Some of them deserve to be where they are, right? This is not one of those companies, in my view, because you didn't screw up your cap structure. You don't have a bunch of debt. This is a company that has gotten taken down with the rest of the market unfairly. And I think those are the stocks that come back the hardest when this turns. And it will turn, unless it's the end of the world. And if it's the end of the world, who gives a shit? It's the end of the world, right? So, I mean, might as well throw something at it and hope it's not the end of the world. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is the end of the world. It looked like the end of the world in 2008. Look what happened after that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, look, that's Bear Stearns, Lehman, poof, overnight gone. That was a scary time. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And this is the kind of company that you want to have your eyes on, or even start dipping your toe. I'm just going to say this could be potentially setting up for what would be called a double bottom test. You hit this low, you come back down, you test that area, and that's how you confirm that that is the bottom, if it holds, right? And then you bounce, and hopefully you take out that trend line. You start a new long-term trend line, right? Which is one of the most powerful, because you take out this multi-year or multi-month downtrend and you break to the upside. When you break and you close above that trend line, that's like the beginning of a whole new trend. And maybe it goes from the lower left to the upper right for multiple months or multiple years, right? That's how you have to view it. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. Hey there, all you stock market junkies. Thanks for tuning in to yet another CEO and executive interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had Vision Marine Technologies, ticker symbol VMAR. We had CEO and founder Alexander Mongeon and Alan Gaines, chairman of the board. I hope you guys enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. Why not give us a share? And while you're at it, how about giving us a follow? Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best.